Something that was very helpful for me generally is to realize it was last summer or the summer before. I could be outside a lot during the day and like be in like kind of like a buggy, woody place, and you're like, oh man, I'm getting wrecked. Your legs feel all itchy. He's like, oh, I took like a walk this morning, or like a bit, like several dozen times. But once you have a shower and kind of wash your legs off with like with just like soap or like a loofah or a sponge if you have it, you don't feel it anymore. The places that stick around are like the knuckles or like fingers or those things where there's just like no flesh in the way. Those are the ones that are really annoying. I was like, I got up for a walk this morning. Lately I just get up on my days off from the gym. And I just get up and then just eat and then have coffee and then move on with my day. I'm just like sitting down the entire time. It can't be good. So kind of, what is this? Oh yeah. It's kind of thing, but like there's a little lake. If I just walk down the street, there's like a little mini lake with like 10 cottages around it. It's a nice little thing to have right nearby. But boy, is it buggy. Okay, so let's go get the big payoff and see what let's see what the final trophy is. That was fun last night. Big boss fight. Realizing that the blood magic is like pretty ineffective generally. Okay, I need to keep more food on me. I need to be able to have a 3 stack of food that doesn't involve Yggdrasil potions. Yggdrasil porridge. I should bring something else with me. Whatever. All right, let's see what we get. Let's officially fit. Am I gonna get a credit sequence? Here we go, mama. Faster mining and increased ether regeneration. Nice. Those are the 2 things I need to do right now. So yesterday, I tried to figure out the closest swamp to me. And it's over here. And I scouted out, what is that? 7 crypts. And I brought my boat here. So now, my 2 major replenishment supply goals are black marble and iron. Those seem to be the 2 things I need the most of. I'll keep getting the sap, etc. I'll keep getting the sap. And I guess I'll put like a thing of ether in once in a while. But I'm not too worried about my animals. I have tons of stone. I need iron, so this should give me at least a couple hundred iron. So if I spend this morning mining all this iron, I'm gonna bring a second pickaxe. And then do a big fat old stack of what's it called? Then do a big old fat stack of I need one more food. Got the jerky. $15.15. Is this literally worse than this? It's so weird. Yeah, so if I take out a couple of corpses. Okay, why are you guys not eating? Let's deal with the that egg should have hatched by now. Yeah, there's the chicken. So what's the deal with you two? I think the problem is him. Feels like he's stuck in the wall or something. Are you depressed? You've been hungry and stuck in this wall for a while. Do you guys not love each other anymore? Now will you guys eat? What's the deal here? The wolf party continues. That's good. Chickens are healthy. Good. So, grab the stone, grab that saddle. I should just leave the saddle over there. There's no other place to put it. And I'm not exactly swimming in places to put stuff right now. Alright. So go pick up the sap. as per usual, and then I start my iron journey. I forgot to get a second pickaxe. Throw this rock off the cliff, maybe hit something, be fun. What am I getting? The sap, right. I got my weight belt, which I haven't been able to use very much lately because I'm doing so much Mistland stuff. It was pretty fun to just kind of go roaming around the map using my like mage powers. Though at night now, surely since I defeated the boss, at night there are like ticks and seeker broods everywhere. Everywhere. Fuelings and ticks and seeker broods are just like... I was in the Black Forest at night. I was getting attacked like twice per minute by like gangs of 3 ticks. That's very stressful when you have like 50 health. You're eating like blueberries and shit. Here we go. I don't have time for that either. What a weird combination. Mining and ether regeneration. Those are like polar opposites. Very weird. I'm still... I remember I was reading... I don't remember if it was Drop Frames or on stream, but I was watching Ko when he was playing... I was watching Ko Carnage when he was playing Valheim. And he kind of like made a suggestion for how the order of the Forsaken power should be. And I remember agreeing with it. Obviously, like, the main problem is, like, the Elder buff is just, like, trash and makes no sense. Like, maybe the mining ones... Maybe a mining one should be second. I don't know. I don't remember, like, the exact idea he had. Okay, go get a second pickaxe. And on your merry way. And so today is the supply day. Let's say Wednesday. Yeah, today's the supply day. And then the next few days are going to be starting on all this. As I said, figure out where to insert black marble in the castle. Make banners everywhere to put more color into it. Reorganize the work areas. Tinker away at the statue. Ballistas on the 2 corners. Shingles are redo the tower, redo the teleport hub. Armor sets, trophies. So those are the order of operations. 36 sap is pretty good. Okay, I'll do a stack. Soft tissue, gross. Put the rest of the sap away. They're cool. Oh, what are those like? Kind of seem like Surtling cores. And then eventually, what I'll do is make a inventory of what things I need. I want to build one of everything. All the weapons, all the armor. Get a pickaxe. It's in the other one? And then I got to figure out where to hang all those, where to hang all that equipment. What's this one? Bronze? Is this really the best one I have? Do I not have an iron pick? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, then I have to figure out where to hang all the items and weapons. Most of the weapons are on these guys. Horns. I guess I can maybe rebuild some of these. The bow is appropriate. The horn is whatever. I could probably prefer whatever but the early weapons are just pretty workmanlike anyway. Not a whole lot of thrill there. But Frostner... We'll need more for the full... The sets should match. Like, these two are like... these two are matching. Those two are matching. But then here we have the padded... We have the linen set. And, so the Fenris should go here. And then the linen set... the padded linen set goes on its own. And then hang all the weapons that look cool, which is all the newer weapons, and Frostner. Frostner was sick. That was an all-time weapon. I had the Crystal Battle Axe hanging on the other guy's suit. Which one am I going to? I'm going to Mountain, Bone Mass. Which one am I going to? Swamp. Here we go. So my ship's still there. One thing I'll need at some point is probably more tin to make more bronze. I have a funny feeling I'll need that. Okay, my big old boaty. Any damage to the boat? No? Alright, cool. This is my only boat now, so... So I'm going to park it down here. And then I'm going to be a poster boy. Yeah, I did. I've got her buff down here, you can see. The buff is faster mining and faster mana regeneration. It took probably 4 to 5 days in game to kill her. But the main reason was because I was like spending a lot of my mana killing the skeletons. And I realized once I started to just shoot like the fire and frost more often, I managed to get a kill. Here, I got a little clip here that I like. There we go. There's the finale. Blinding Smoky Pterodactyl Buddha Bar. That's a great one. I shared that one and another one to... I shared that one and an older one that Anorino did, both to YouTube Shorts, using like the ability to like quickly make videos for it. And this one, because I say what the fuck in the first like 5 seconds, like does not get shown to anyone. And the other one got like 600 views in like 12 hours. It's interesting. You gotta be careful on YouTube algorithm, I guess. That was a learning experience, because this is a better clip. But yeah, it just does not get shown at all. Yeah, so once I started using like fire and then spamming the frost staff after that, then it went pretty well. I haven't bought the flights yet. Do that later today. But it looks like I'm going to be in the East Coast from the 12th to the 19th. Or the 13th to 20th, one of the two. And then I'll figure out like a day trip to Halifax in that range. And then you and I are going to talk shop. Lunch and coffee and a walk around the city. I suspect that's the way it'll go. Nice. What kind of character did you make? Like, what do they look like? And, like, what's your, like... Is there initial, like, abilities or specializations you do in that game? Not really, right? You just go by, like, the perk system? The Queen was probably the hardest boss to do solo. Most people don't agree, but I personally found the Elder very hard. Mainly strength, yeah. There's like gorilla punching stuff that you can do later. Some of the ways to like augment your guy with like cybernetics make your guy seem like such like a insane superhero. Oh, I got a raft over here too. Look at that. Those are the good old days. This is when I was too scared to go through the plains. That raft, what a throwback that is. Yeah. It's a fun game. I don't understand why you don't just wait till September. And just hit him with a full expansion. I think it's gonna be like I think it's gonna be like a drastically improved game in like 2 months. Sure, yeah. It's a big game though. I feel like there might be some like fatigue issues there. Oh, that's true. No, you can just play like the new stuff and be able to contrast it, I guess. I think it's the kind of game where most people do a full playthrough again once like the dynamics drastically change. Alright. So my boat is here. Let's try to make a mark of this. And then let's get going on the crits. I should get some more. I should really get some more gear. Yeah, that's fair. Did you like Jedi Survivor? I find like the gaming world is so weird lately. I don't know if it's always been like this, or it's just kind of like what gamers are like. But like everything is everything for a week, and then is never spoken about ever again. So I understand why like some people are like jaded by how like developers operate, but like I don't know, man. It seems like it would be in their interest to get as much bank as possible out of people when people like to get as many units sold as possible when people are like all or nothing on everything and just completely move on to the next thing. Like Jedi Survivors will never get heard of again. Blech. Oh, fuck off. Oh shit. Forgot about you fellas. I like blood bags, I'm gonna get those. That was crazy. What a creepy moment. The one great thing about the Star Wars franchise is it's always been, for as long as like there's been Star Wars games, there's always been like the games have been so good at like the fantasy of like how sick it is to be a Jedi, dark or light, light or dark. What am I doing? Out of the water, please. I think just like the gameplay fantasy has always been so good. Like the power fantasy of the series has always been so good. This has been a nice way to, going through these lobby zones has been a nice way to get some more elemental magic experience points too. Hey fellas, didn't see you there. It's just very strange that I'm jumping all over here, but like it's very strange that the mining buff is what you get after the 6th boss. You can't even mine. I guess it's for the black marble. It's just super weird. Got to be careful here. I don't get ambushed by ticks. Maybe that's just a Black Forest thing or something. Alright. This is going to basically take me the whole day to get all this swamp stuff done. Partially because everything is so far away. I died this way one time. Just got caught in this room and drowned. Real awkward. Alright, fellas, what we got? Who's in here? Nothing? This is probably a dead end, right? Yeah. Okay, pretty light. And there's no chest in the middle here. What a disappointment. The chests are like the surefire way to get the most stuff. Okay, so let's get going. I wonder if this even counts for this. Whatever. Five minutes of dream. I saw something really cool outside. I saw like, I was looking in like one of the planter pots I have, which has a bunch of like wildflowers and stuff in it. Green spiky thing in the middle. And there looked to be like, it basically had like the profile, it basically had the silhouette of a spider. But then if you look at it more closely, it looked like kind of like a stink bug or beetle or something. And I was like, whoa, what is that? And what I realized after sending a photo to my parents, my stepdad is like a huge like kind of like nature guy. Like, he goes on a site called iNaturalist and like loads thousands of pictures, like literally thousands of photos. And then also like, it's kind of like social media for like nature dorks. Like you try to like identify creatures, try to identify everything, and other people identify yours. Kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like Instagram for biologists. And then, you upload pictures and people try to like figure out the species, etc. And what he said it was a female wolf spider. And he's right once I got a closer picture. What he said it was is a female wolf spider with her entire group of eggs sitting on her back. She's carrying like what looks like a kind of like dried, kind of fibrous egg sac type thing behind her. And then she has like hundreds upon hundreds of like particles, which are her eggs, just sitting on her back. And she's being like pretty jumpy. Like she kind of scrambles into like shade, etc. She goes out in the sun and she scrambles into shade if anything moves or if she feels like vibrations or something. It's so cool. And then yesterday, as I said, I was concerned about the bird that's on top of her nest and like nesting her eggs. But I think just yesterday it was so warm that she got off them because she didn't need to be there. Because she's right back on it. She's right back on it this morning. Feels good, man. Okay, give me some iron here. Okay. So let's focus on what's important here. This is not important. This is not important. This is not important. Might get rid of some of this shit eventually. I'll take this stuff because why not? And then we keep chopping away. What is that? Nothing. I think I could probably upgrade this this pickaxe more too. So yeah, good nature day so far. I don't know where my cat is. I think it's the kind of weather where like the tile floor is nice and cool. She's outside just like absolutely chilling. And I really I'm starting to notice that like She does like if someone's nearby, because cats and then her especially are like pretty like nervous creatures. So I feel like she can sleep better if like someone's nearby. She can like relax more. So she was like just straight up chilling on the porch, baking in the sun. It's so interesting how the black top of her gets so much hotter than the white fur. Crazy. It's a huge difference in temperature. Just like inches away from each other. Like she's basically like, she's black and white and all the black is on top. Like someone like drizzled Hershey's cocoa syrup on her. And it's, the black fur gets so hot. I've like seen before like on Twitter videos something that cats rely on the sun for like temperature regulation, etc. But it's like, that fur is like fucking 60 degrees Celsius. Alright, simmer down. That doesn't do that much. They should be technically wet, but they're, I guess because he's only like in the, we're at the weight limit. Bust this boy out. Okay. I think when you're, depending on how the game goes for you, I think when you're doing Black Forest stuff and mining all that copper and zinc, I think that you, I'm not sure if you have the belt yet. I guess it depends on whether you find it. But mining without the belt, that's crazy. I'm trying to bring my prospector's helmet. Can I make a wisp torch? No, other stuff. Wisp withered bone, we don't need that. Okay, it's one of these. Okay, it came from here. I think we're all done. How much did we get there? 29? Pretty good. Oh, there's the main entrance, right? I think there's one more to go. So I wonder if the queen buff does anything. It's like, I almost rather have Eikthyr, and just for running to and fro. First time I go back to like repair my stuff. There's a mosquito in here. All hands on deck. Fuck. It's done. I could just combine these. Kind of don't mind my inventory being crowded. Oh, they take frost damage, do they? Nice. Maybe because they're naturally wet. So this is gonna be a while till I play it. Oh, nice. So this is gonna be a while till I play it, but I was reading a little bit about the Jay Sawyer mod for Fallout New Vegas. He's like the creative director, and he made it so it's like a more challenging game. So it, like, in many ways seems like probably a mistake to play the first. Essentially, I played like 6 hours of Fallout New Vegas like back in the day, like 4 or 5 years ago, at least 5 years ago. But it basically just makes it a way more like realistic kind of punishing type game. It sounds fun. If you're gonna play it, let's go hard. So I'm looking forward to that. So unless there's too many more chambers, I should be able to hold all of the iron from here. Hopefully. Yes, I want as much iron as possible, but I also want to not have to do multiple trips. Ooh, day 666. I wonder what horrible things are going to happen. Wow. So much stuff. And now what I do when I play is I go to sleep and then save. Or sleep, or say before sleep, because I realized that you don't get the rested buff when you log back in, which is annoying. But I never remember to get the rested buff when I log back in, because I don't know, it's life, you know what I mean? Like, every day is a completely new day. Forget everything. I have to learn everything all over again. So I keep not having the rested buff. Combined with, honestly, at this point, I should probably just use my Fenris set for everything. Maybe with one more weapon. Okay, so there's a bunch more iron here. Wow, there's a bunch of fucking... This is a huge crypt. See the mosquito again. He's behind the monitor. This is a huge crypt. By my ear. He's on my ear. Prick. Okay, what we got here? More iron? Oh my god. The riches. Okay, so let's put it all in here and then clear up everything. And then 18 amber? The riches are incredible. Nothing in here, I assume. There never is. What is the point of these? Hi, baby. Wow, I'm getting like 50. I might have to do less crypts than I thought I would. I'm gonna do some bunch because there's gonna be other reasons for using iron, like in the construction process. But my kind of estimate was about 100 for the stuff I need to build. Surely there is a more central place I can do this. Surely there's a more central chest I can put this all in, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm gonna definitely want iron for construction stuff, but my first goal will just be to build all the items and armor, all the armor and equipment, just to get it done with. I might also redo storage. Most of like the black metal chests have ultimately been superfluous. It's annoying that they're a different width than the other ones. So like you got all your signs lined up and you want to like replace the reinforced iron chest with the black metal ones, but then you essentially can't. So you have to redo them. So most of my like black metal chests, which are the ones that have the most storage, are ironically the ones that are just like spillover. Okay, so the one on the left is everything. We cleared the whole place. So now we start our mission. We're gonna ditch as much stuff as possible in order to take as much as we can. One more of that, and then one more. And then, can I get one more? Probably not. I don't have very many things. Okay, first trip back. And then it's, I don't know, it's nice to have the mage set because I like doing this. But it's probably more prudent for me to do a Fenris set. That way I can use better food for stamina and just haul ass back and forth. This isn't really time for fighting. That way I can make like bread dough and like plains food that has lots of stamina. That's a really great amount of iron from that place. Really good. And then I can save my... I'll never really need... To some degree, I'm not really going to need the mage food again, but I should make a full stack of it, because I'm eventually going to need to... I'm going to have to fight the queen again as, like, the last thing I do, basically. Well, I'll do that at the end. That'll be, like, a final... Because, like, after I finished the queen, I was like, man, I'm going to miss the combat from this. Because, like, outside of being invaded, and, like, I guess occasionally, like, a scrap in the Mistland, that was, like, my penultimate combat. So, like, I'm going to miss doing, like, mage stuff. It's pretty fun. So I will do all this, and then since I fight every boss twice in order to be able to mount one of the trophies on my wall, I will, at the end of everything, fight her again. But I do need to right now also get a good full... I mean, for her, I'll need 8 or 10 food. It's weird that I won't even, like, use her buff against her. Like, the Yagluth buff was good against Yagluth. But that's not the case now. Like... Remember before, like... Creatures... There was, like, fuelings here or something like that. They're just destroying me. Because I was trying to get over to the swamp. Extra difficult creatures. Hey, fellas. Oh. What's it talking about? Yeah, it's weird. The Yagluth buff was good against Yagluth because he used so much magic points, but Eater Regeneration is obviously quite good against her. Actually, ironically, it might actually be better than Bone Mass. It's hard to say. Bone Mass like really helped me, but it's kind of a crutch, right? To have 5 minutes out of every 20 be reduced damage, like it's probably better to have. It's probably better to have. Honestly, it's better to have more, you know, more DPS. Do I have anything in here? Iron-wise? Shit's all useless. Fuck. I have to remember to bring the Prospector's helmet too. Next time I go back. I'm not going to go back yet. Can you stop? Alright, get on the boat. Enough of this nonsense. Alright, cool. So back to the boat. Do I have I don't have a teleporter here anymore. So the closest teleporter is up here. I don't know why I ever got rid of the one here. Doesn't make sense. Just does not make sense. Judging from like Fallout fans' feedback, etc., I'm starting to feel better and better, but only doing Fallout 1 and New Vegas. I've never really found 4 that appealing. And it seems like it's a weird, I don't know, maybe 3. What is that? Skeleton? What was that? Just fishes? Underground blob? Oh. Give me those blood bags. Yeah. Did I get the blood bag? Where is it? There it goes. Okay, so there are some, there are definitely some flaws in my logistics right now. Like, it's not easy to get back. I basically have to either take this boat from here to here, or run all the way up to here. You could get cloudberries pretty early, but I just don't think it unlocks anything on its own. Long range snipe. How's that angle? Nope. I get him? Not even close. There you go. I think it only costs 32 now. It said 35, but I think it's 32 because of my mastery. Nice. Hi, buddy. How are you? Pew, 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 pew. Oh, okay. I didn't know you were an indulger. I like that. Happy-go-lucky. Do you have snacks arranged? Do you have things to watch? Have you planned out your session? Okay, that'll do. Today's like a little bit of a... I was like debating whether I was actually going to stream today. Because really at this point, now that I put the trophy up, so I got the queen buff. But now I'm just in like the iron and... I'm basically in the iron and marble mining business now. Because that's probably the main things I need. And then it'll be like 3 or 4 days of, you know, design school. Make things up. And then I'll finish by... what was I going to say? And then I'll finish by fighting the queen again for her head to put on my walls. But really we're like into... Okay, which of these things do I care the least about? Definitely ancient seeds. Yeah, we're into like replenishing the black marble and iron supplies, making one of everything, then doing all this stuff, like upgrading everything, fighting the queen one more time, and then on we go. I gotta make a list of all the stuff I need to do. Oh man, he's doing great. He's living the American dream one day late. Okay, so I have 30 iron on me, so I'm just gonna take it back. So this crypt is now finished. Nice. You're European. Do you put tobacco in your weed? I did. It took me probably... Oh shit. It took me probably 4 to 5 in-game days to kill her. Oh my god, what the fuck? That's actually really bad. Those shots were like really, really missing there. Okay, yeah. So do you have tobacco in there? Is it like hash resin or hash oil? The fight lasted so long. It was probably 4 to 5 in-game days. Honestly, but the main thing was there's the finisher, but the main thing was I was kind of getting baited by the skeletons, like trying too hard to use the skeletons often and to like kind of force using them. But really, one skeleton is nice if she burrows and goes all the way down to the bottom. But I think it's just generally better to use like one fireball, and then I think it's better to use one fireball, and then when she's like close enough in range, really spam the frost, and then run away and do it again. And then the question is now that I have the final buff is faster mining. And then mana regeneration. I wonder whether it's better to use the mana regeneration, or it's better to use the which one am I going to? West Isle. Whether it's better to use bone mass or the mana regeneration. Hey, if you want a buddy to finish the boss off, I'm now officially an expert. I bet next time I'll be able to do it in faster than 5 days too, like an in-game week of fighting the same guy. So I have to get the food to. I honestly should, for this next section of the game, use the E-clear buff. All I'm doing is running around. Now for this next segment of the game, I need to get like a good 10 to 12 stack of all the mage food, and then I'm probably basically going to use like the Fenris set Because all I'm doing is running around, getting black marble and other things. Having like specific mage food is so low health, so low stamina. It's a bit risky. So Anno, this is something interesting. I was playing around with some stuff on Twitch yesterday after I finished. And so interesting. I saw there's a feature on Twitch where you can just make a quick vertical video for YouTube Shorts. And so I did this one, which you did, and then I also did the special finisher one that I just linked beforehand. And the special finisher one, because I say fuck in the first like 5 seconds, got 4 views. And this one got like 600 over the course of the first few hours. Just by like the way that YouTube Shorts, like how many people's feed it went into. That's pretty funny. So I've taken your work. If I make money from it, I'll pay you. If that gets 1 million views and it can monetize me on YouTube, you get all the profits from it. I'll write you a check. I'm not sure how YouTube Shorts works really. I think it's evidence. It got in front of like 300 to 400 eyes in the first like hour. I think they're just like a lot of people are using YouTube Shorts like a lot of times, so it kind of churns through things quickly. Whereas the other one, 4 views, like totally cut off, because I use a cuss word in it. Okay, I gotta watch out for fucking mosquitoes here. Where am I going? Probably better to go through the swamps. But it's really easy. You can do it in like 5 seconds. Like you just choose what the main window is going to be, and you choose what the secondary window is going to be. You kind of so you just move around the 2 boxes, and then you don't even have to wait on the screen. It just renders it for you and puts it on YouTube Shorts. But then you have to go to YouTube afterwards, and like do the "is this for kids" questions, etc. You're right. One thing I never really thought of specifically that you mentioned yesterday is how the mosquitoes don't really have the same kind of warning cry that other things do. That is alone probably the scariest part of them. What's funny is how different the like metrics are for YouTube Shorts versus normal videos. Like that getting 600 videos is like an entire month of views basically for like what the 3-hour VODs have been. That's so funny. Hey, how you doing? I'm just over here back in the mines like it's February. Getting iron. But it is fun to have like the wizard gear for all this, to be honest. Okay, I'm gonna go retrieve my stuff, and I'm gonna put the iron on the boat. And then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to make proper stamina and health food. Ow. Leave me alone. The dream. Okay, so there is a guy there. What the fuck? Jeez. Okay. Okay, this is now a little sketchy. I have to take this guy out first. With a well-timed kick. Where do you go? Where'd he go? Oh, he's fighting him instead? Okay, that's convenient. Oh, it wasn't even going for me. Interception. Feels good, man. Okay, so this is very important. This is moderately important. This is more important than, say, this. All right, off we go. Did I forget the staff? Are you kidding me? I've always been having like a mortal fear of doing this. I would have lost my mind. Okay, ooze. Okay. That's a couple of times now that you have absolutely saved my fucking life. Which of us is stoned? I think it's me. Okay, I gotta get my prospector's helmet. Can't see shit. What is this? Has anything ever been this dark ever? Where's my wisp light? I can't use it. Oh my god. Oh my god. I would have found it. I still have it marked on the map. But it's just a question of how long it would have been until I realized that was gone. It would have been a while. Okay, what's going on here? I'm about to get death skied, aren't I? Alright. Okay, everything's just fine. Oh my god. I know, but it's not as much that the grave would have disappeared. Okay. Hey, no, I'm trying to get across. Sometimes these guys can help you across the river by bumping you forward. But it's just a matter of when I would have figured it out. I think that's more the problem. Mezzy is deep into the family history preservation game. Birth certificates today? I think you're saying before about getting affiliate, the Twitch part of it, but which is going pretty well. Like, you guys coming in lately has been like a real critical factor. It's like in getting to like the now close to having streams near or at the average now, which is like a real blessing for sure. The Twitch thing, the YouTube one's gonna be different. Like I know the two compound off each other, but like I don't think there's enough utility, honestly, in just like these playthrough, in these like VOD recordings. Essentially, half the time where I'm just like talking to chat, to make it something that's going to be more successful. YouTube is more about like retrospectives and reviews and stuff, I think, that are like curated. Like Green Mouse coming in as the first person who came in, who like watches the videos when they're at work and came to say hello on Twitch, which is like really what I've been really hoping for. But it does seem like YouTube, people can have no like videos at all. And if you put a video up that's like, here's why Chrono Trigger is the best game ever, and like plunge people's nostalgia for things like that, you can get a lot of views and lots of stuff from that. But in terms of like the actual, there's a million people just doing like recordings of them, like usually with no camera, doing stuff on YouTube. That's pretty worthless, I think, generally. I'm basically just doing it for like archival purposes at this point. But to have more YouTube success, it has to be more utility than what I'm currently doing. Okay, I need to go directly north. A lot of people will use like YouTube as basically like, hey, do you watch my Twitch stream but not like this game? Here's check out some YouTube videos of other games I've played. Ugh. But there's got to be better ways to do it than that. So especially something like Valheim, which is going to be like almost 200 hours of VODs. That's just archival. Unless I put the time in myself or do like curated highlights videos. It's just basically like archival. Yeah. It'll be nice to save this world. I'm trying to explore as little as possible. And then be able to use the same one for Ashlands. These things are always very... Actually, at any point in the game, getting past these things where all the spawns are is actually very risky. A lot of them have bows. It also has the Draugr Elite there. The Draugr Elite are very fucking fast. Those guys are spooky. Yeah. I remember that, Kai. Like, that was the... Valheim, I think, was the third game I played. And Deus Ex was like... I had so many technical problems, like... The first game I played... Oh, there's a leech there. The first game I played, I was streaming with a headset, but OBS was using my fucking webcam mic for like weeks. And then the second game I played was Octopath Traveler, like in December or January, and nobody watched. The stream summary would be like zero average, like 1 to 3 live views, and things like that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh shit. Yeah, there's a lot of time. I'm 23 episodes into... Oh, fuck you. I'm 23 episodes... Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm 23 episodes into... I gotta focus right now. Into Valheim. And... That is such an inaccurate way of doing this. Oh, fuck, it's a tick. What the hell? 1-star tick? My neighborhood? And I'm still, like, doing swamp stuff. Oh, fuck me, dude. This is really... I'm in big trouble here. I need to... Hold on. I need to think about this. I need more magic gear. Okay, do I have enough for the... Okay, that's not my fire. Where's my fire staff? Ooh, this is tense. Okay, 3 at once. 2. Okay, 1 down. Fuck you, pal. The magic resist is so low. Okay, I'm running through the swamp plains. I'm running through the plains right now, which is at night, which is rarely wise. Yeah, the amount of time I spent in like troll gear and everything like that. The only 2 games that I've played that really had like nice bump. Dark Souls was nice. There was some Dark Souls fans who were like Dark Souls fans, so they stayed for Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls is one of those games where people are so obsessed with it that like when they play, they want to experience other people playing it. To like kind of experience like the vicariousness, because there'd be people who are like, I've played Dark Souls. The fuck? People are like, I played Dark Souls like 100 times, and they want to like... That was a lot of backseating in that game, which is fine. But Valheim and Fallout were the 2 with like really genuinely nice people who came by. Really cool. So what's next? I can make VIPs now. Once I get the next step or 2, you guys are all getting hit up with special status. I will never forget. It's been a meaningful period. You're all getting bow ties, tuxedos, girls and guys. I wonder if Baldur's Gate will have the same kind of similar Fallout 2 fans. Okay, we made it through the plains. That was a hugely ill-advised set of decisions, where about 25% of my mind was on the game, and the rest of it was on talking. But it worked out. Just had to eat some quivering jelly to increase my magic pool. All right. I gotta figure out the fucking logistics here. If my boat is here and there's no portal here, and I have to get crypts from all this stuff, this is not an efficient way of doing this. I have to run all the way up here to replenish my fucking pickaxe? That can't be right. I think I probably get another portal. I think I bring another portal here. Is there a portal I can change the name of that I never use? Not really. I don't use this one, but we'll see. Excuse me. The question is how long it's going to be till Ashlands. Like, probably a year, right? At least 6 months? I'm trying to argue to him that he should wait till the DLC for Cyberpunk in September, which apparently has huge gameplay overhauls. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were like classic late 90s, early 2000s RPGs, the kind of like three-quarter view isometric ones. I've never played them, so I can't say to some degree. But like that period when like Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, all those games are like this peak. Fallout 1 is like a 2. All those games are like this peak of big story-driven kind of team play RPGs where they're not necessarily fully turn-based. And they had really big epic stories. Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Fallout. I think Icewind Dale and Neverwinter Nights probably count as this too. It was like that late 90s, early 2000s period where games started to have a lot more storage capacity, I think was the issue. Where they can have way more dialogue, way more sound effects, huge, bigger stories. And it was like a big narrative renaissance in games. Yeah, you gotta always save some DLC money. DLC money is 20% of expenses. That's how it goes. All right, where is the fucking bone fragments? There. Okay, so rubies, amber, repair my shit. That's the way it goes. I was talking about this the other day. I think, like, depending on the model, sometimes a lot of DLC... We were talking about this the other day, about Northgard. That kind of DLC model kind of turns me off a little bit. City Skylines, obviously The Sims, Northgard. All this stuff that's like... I don't know, that bothers me. The new race. Here's the sewers. Pay for the industrial system. I don't like that. I love this. Trash talk by my own dudes. I love these. These guys are the best. My fucking peanut gallery. Take the saddle out. Put the last staff in there. Okay, so now I need some wood to... I need 10 wood to build a chest over there to put the saddle in. I shall just leave the saddle on the dudes. I need a little bit of wood to... What am I doing here? Put yourself together. I need to make new food. Make stamina, just kind of plains style food. Hey, buddies, are you guys not? They stopped mating. Are they unhappy? Tame happy. What's happening with these two? Why don't they fuck anymore? These guys are like the breeding part. These are like the breeding pair. Maybe they've seen too many of their children killed. That's fair. Got a little trauma. I don't know. I get it. Maybe it's not enough food, but like they've had the exact same setup this whole time, and I put 20 flax in there, and they've just kind of like gradually munched away at it. But there's something going on where just one of them eats and the other one doesn't. The chickens have been breeding, the wolves have been breeding, but there's something going on over here where these two have stopped. Anyway, whatever. I don't need more locks. I do want to figure out. I guess boar. I want to put boars in here and then free flow the wolves in here. I also need to use some of this iron to put ballistas up in case things go haywire. But for now, my goal is to build food for my Fenris set. So that is unbaked. So that is lox pie. Mist hair. Hair meat, Jotun puffs, carrot. Uncooked meat platter, I have tons of this. And then lox pie. So that is barley flour, carrot, Jotun, hair meat, seeker meat, lox meat. Right? What am I missing? Cloudberries. I always want to call them cluster berries. Why is that? Didn't I have a bunch of them too that I picked up? Oh, whatever, it's fine. Okay, 4 pies. No, 8 pies. We got a while. It's $1,000 US for all the Sims DLCs. What happened to EA? This early Sims games, 1 and 2, and then to some degree 3, are like kind of enchanting games. Like they are like some of my favorite game experiences ever were like starting a family in that game and having it go through like 3 generations. I played a game where it was like, once I got to the 3rd generation, I built like the perfect house for everybody that I spent so much time on. And I still have it like saved on like an old laptop somewhere, I think. And it's like just actually such a beautiful way to play. It's actually such a fun game. It's like enchanting. It really is. There's nothing like The Sims. The early ones. 4 is kind of like, there's a lot of game series that EA has like totally ruined. Examples include SimCity. Some of the most recent SimCities are also like that kind of totally monetized thing. It's horrible. Like the most recent Sims game, 4, to some degree 3, it's like so much less customer friendly. It's unbelievable. It's like predatory. I think it's totally worth, if you're ever going to play it, you pirate it like once every 4 years and play it constantly. That's what you do. That's the way to do it. You're like trying to work your sim like a slave driver. It's like, come on, you need more skills. You need to be a doctor. You need more money. But it's so interesting. It's kind of like Sims are kind of, this is fucked up, but Sims are kind of like immigrants. Like the first generation never has the chance to succeed that like their children does. So you sacrifice all these things so that when your kids get set up, you're just like an adult. You start the game as an adult. You're a fucking jabroni with no skills. But your kids are like learning fucking math and science at the age of like 7. And they can hit the career peak so much faster than your first generation Sims can. It's like you have to be, it's like Indian parents trying to tell their kids they have to be doctors. It's the same shit. The immigrant generation sacrifices so much to get their kids a better start. It's the same as The Sims. Your first guy is so hard to make big money on. Okay, I need my headlamp before I forget. Well, hold on. I need to do this first. Theme Park Tycoon, or whatever it's called, and Roller Coaster Tycoon. Theme Park Tycoon, or whatever that game is called, is extremely fun. So is like that old Theme Hospital, whatever that hospital game was. That game was also like, I didn't play it till like 5 or 6 years ago. But I'd listen to podcasts and I'd play that game and I was just obsessed with it. It's better than the new one. They remade it as 2 Point Hospital, but it's missing something. Missing like soul. The original is sick. Where's my fucking prospector's hat? There it is. I had a room in The Sims 2 in my house. One person's bedroom was like huge, half floor to ceiling windows with like a natural sunlight coming in, and the floor was sand. It was like this meditation, like Zen room. That was one of the kids' bedrooms. It was so cool. I was feeling it that day. I had a big party weekend, doing like ill-advised combinations of drugs. And then I sat there like this, one hand like this, my elbow on the desk, and the other hand here with my friend over playing console games and like on my TV. And I just like made an entire house over like a day and a half playing The Sims as I was like recovering my mentality. And then my whole arm was like getting pins and needles from like going like this. And it was like actually took me like a couple of weeks to fully get feeling back in my arm. It was weird. It was really weird. Okay. So this is the end of it, right? Can you finish cooking, you stupid rabbits? Great. Okay, so I'm going to put my mage food away because I no longer am using it. Put this away. Whoever gave the idea of like keeping the wolf jerky around, I really like that a lot. Okay, I'll keep this food on me. Maybe I don't need all of these. Okay, go pick up sap. And then the next thing is I need to bring a portal for this one. So I need the stuff for another portal. I don't think I have the fine wood for 2 more portals currently. Oh, I'm 3 short. Yikes. Okay, so bring enough now for everything. 37. I've done this so many times at this point. Oh my god. 24. Something else I should do. Hey, baby. I'm so happy with how much time she's spending outside lately. It's so great. Another half stack of wood in there. She's outside from like 7 a.m. to like noon most days. And then comes in and conks out hard and then wants to go out like early evening. And then I have to try to figure out where she is at like 9 when it starts to get dark and take her in. She likes being out at night and I don't mind it. But it kind of affects my sleep if she's out till like 4 in the morning or something like that. Then I have to like get up and get out of bed and pick her up. It's like so not refreshing. Do I have the 4 Sirtling cores? Yes. So I need to go here, make a portal, go get 3 fine wood, go get my sap, go back to the what's it called? The West Isle portal. Run all the way down, get the iron. Got a lot of stuff to do here. So what's the order of operations there? Okay, I'm gonna go get the Ether buff. I know, man. I have so much silver. Wisp lights and 1 armor set. That's like almost everything. Also, I have to say this is my favorite of the Forsaken powers. The first one. It's so fun. You basically do like 1 big long run every like 20-25 minutes in this game, right? Ether is so great. It's like, it's the most fun. Bone Mass is crazy. Bone Mass is like, instead of taking 70 damage, you take like, what is that? You take like, I don't know, like 15. And so you don't get stunned as much. All those things are huge factors. Okay, I'm gonna go to West Isle, which is this one. Now I gotta make a portal, right? What is the name of this portal? It's called Southwest. Okay, and so I'm not gonna worry about sap yet. No, I should. Whatever. I'm too busy. Too many other things to do. I got a big run ahead of me. Yeah, it's so useful. It's so useful. So if I do the queen again, because that's the last thing I'll do. Because as I was saying before, like I'm gonna miss doing all like the sorcery wizard stuff. It's really fun. But outside of defending my base or occasionally getting into like rumbles in the Mistlands, I'm not really gonna have a lot of opportunities to do it again. But I'm gonna have to, at the very, very end of everything, my last decoration, once the castle is ready, is to do. I'll fight the queen again. And I'm kind of wondering. It's like Bone Mass or Eikthyr or her actual buff are the most useful ones for the boss. I do think the mana 100% mana regeneration that's insane. I think it's still probably the most useful one against her. Bone Mass is nice, but like you're always under threat. So to be like protected from threat 1/4 of the time, like it's not the best way to play. To have that moment where you can pop and have like double mana regeneration and like really burn her down. That is probably better. But again, fucking Seekers coming at you from all times. The Seekers from the side and those times where she manages to like rush right up on you. Those are like the riskiest times for that boss. And no, you're right. That is the hardest solo boss, I think. There's just so many things to deal with. The other advantage of the skeletons is it kind of tanks the Seeker Brood. The Seeker Brood are annoying. Especially when she spews acid and like there's like 10 there. Uses skeletons to protect you from stuff when you run around. But don't they like they seem to move slowly. I was thinking about that. But like, hold on. Okay, I need to get one birch tree down. I was thinking about that, but like... Do you see me? I was thinking about that, but they seem to just walk, right? They don't seem to run. So is this on meadow? It's on meadow. I'll find a birch tree there. Look at this fat health stack. I did. I used the Staff of Protection against Gyals, and I didn't often use it against the boss. I think I was just kind of a little overwhelmed. Do you think it's good against the queen? I like the idea of it. Because the 40% health you sacrifice for the blood magic is actually like, it's healed up so quickly. So a 2-minute protection shield is pretty good. Especially because mages are so squishy with your 100 health and fucking 30 armor. Yeah, that's true. Wait, so does it block a percentage of damage? Oh, my boy, there he is. I've been thinking about you. Does it block a percentage of damage, or does it block just an upfront shield until it expires? Jesse, I beat the boss yesterday. Feels good, man. Mm-hmm. It took like almost an in-game week. Like my guy aged. My guy has more gray hairs in his beard from when the fight started till it ends. I was like making new food, taking like mental health breaks, took a vacation to the south of France for a little while. It's so funny. It was really me just like constantly spamming 100. Look at this. A Draugr, a Slime, a Deathsquito. Okay, never mind, I gotta see it. One of my favorite things in this game is people from different biomes fighting each other. That is my favorite. Absolute my favorite. When I was first doing... When I was first doing iron harvesting, I got all these crypts from here and here, and my base of operations was here with my boat and a house. So there's a swamp, a black forest, and a meadows, all coagulating right here. Oh shit. And the battles that were going on between abominations and Grey Dwarf brutes and trolls were the craziest thing. They were constantly all chasing me and then interacting with each other. And it was just mayhem. It was total chaos whenever I went to that little triangulation of all three things. It was so fun. The abomination murders everything. But the Grey Dwarf brute, low-key hero. That guy's... A Grey Dwarf brute is pretty strong. You'll love to see it. They're like the kid who's being bullied, but then he's actually like low-key really good at wrestling, and like whoops all the bullies. Okay, I need a birch tree here. You sacrifice a percentage of your health and the amount of damage absorbed by the barrier is highly dependent on the caster blood magic skill level, while the base damage is 100 increased by 5 per level. So that to me looks like it. I love an underdog story too. That to me looks like it's something where once it absorbs that much damage up front, then you start taking damage again, which is kind of how it felt when I was using it. So that's still pretty good. It's actually probably better because, like, as a mage, especially because you have your stamina bar just to run and dodge and block if you want, whereas you use your mana bar. You don't have to use your mana. You don't have to use your stamina for attacking at the same time that you use. I can't see shit. Excuse me. What the fuck are you doing here? That was unexpected. Hey. This is my house, dude. If I was American, do you know how dead you'd be? What was I saying? Yeah, since you don't use your stamina for both attacking and escaping, which is the big curse of using melee weapons. What am I doing here? Do I have a chest? Yes, I do. It's really good to have that. I can see how using that shield can be really helpful because you only so rarely get caught. But when you get caught, the consequences are devastating. Like me getting one shot by the first seeker that flew into the fight against the queen. Whatever the fuck happened there. So that would have been a better use of my mana than 2 skeletons constantly when the 2 skeletons get knocked off a cliff and take like a full 2 minutes to climb back up the hill. Look at this guy. Right, that was the other thing I was wondering. Am I going to die if I use it early? I don't think so. The staffs are two-handed. Hey, big guy. How you doing? It did seem like the freeze staff is much less accurate, but the like rapid fire element of it, if you can make them eat most of the... Is that a lox? Okay, I'm dead. Alright, things get a little crazy at night here. Oh god. Oh god. Please kill him instead of me. I'm going back home. I have a lot of health. Look at that. Troll versus Lox? The Ultimate Warrior versus Macho Man Randy Savage? The Lox is probably gonna make short work for him. Yeah, get him! The Lox is gonna fuck him up. Can I applaud? Just cheer? Oh man, it's not even close. Ooh, overhead smash finisher. I love it. I love that shit. That is the funnest part of the game. What am I doing here? I'm gonna get killed. Oh god. Alright. Alright, let's get it together here. I hear fuelings. I hear Deathsquitos. Oh. Not so strong now, are you? Now that I have a 200 pounds of weight behind me in health points. Jesse, what have you been up to lately? How are you doing? When I drove from Vancouver to Ontario again, we were actually going to meet up my way, because where he lives is like on the way, but he got sick. I appreciate someone who, generally speaking, I think it's better to like cancel if you're sick than to get somebody sick. That's like one way that I think that like COVID has like changed the world for the better to some degree, is like being sick with something like virulent used to be like, I worked at kitchens, like where I was doing like baking, and things were like, you're handling things that immediately get served to people, right? And if I would want to take a day off because I was like had a cold or something, they'd be like, "Oh, you're lazy, or like you're not dedicated or something." But like, if you think of like the productivity loss of people getting sick and multiple people getting sick, and also I'm the kind of person who like resents people if they get me sick. I'm not saying this about you, but just generally speaking, like a lot of people are, I think, a little more observant now about being around people when they're sick because of like the whole COVID thing. I hope. But it used to always bother me that like people would still go out, like you'd go see your friends or like keep your plans or something like that, even if you had like a really bad cold. One time I went out with my friends for drinks. We've been going out for a couple of hours, and then after we go outside, I asked for a drag of my friend's cigarette, and he warned me that he was kind of sick, and I was like, I don't care. I had a couple of beers, I was feeling a little loose. And then I took like 2 drags of his cigarette, and had like the worst chest cold for the next like week and a half. It was a true lesson learned. Pan-seared oven finished, the best ribeye last night. Pan-seared oven finished. That's good. The sear. I have a friend of mine who has like who's the kind of guy who's like, hey, both things are good. In any sort of circumstance where people are arguing, he's like, both things are good. He sent me a video about how like the sear and the reverse sear are both equally effective for steaks, and it's just whatever you like to do. I was like, I guess that's fine. I've never actually tried the reverse sear. I'll get some. Do you ever worry with the sous vide about cooking your food in plastics? The crypts. When you go into a room like this and there's like a nest of creatures and like a 1-star drug or archer comes out of it, and you're just wrecked. I didn't even bring a bow in retrospect. A funny thing was when I was doing the can you fuck off? The funny thing is when I was doing the mage stuff, I still had my axe. Like this room would be death previously. Absolute death. 2 archers. Oh, how's that feel? This literally would be just this room would be me dying twice, ruining my day. It was the archers, man. Running through, wet, cold, low on food. Some archer just like plugs you from like fucking miles away. You get stunned. A wraith kills you. GG. Yeah. I think the bigger health pool helps with the poison. I still think the swamps are the hardest zone. Well, I don't know. Do you think swamps are harder than Mistlands? Like, contextually? I think they're both bad. Swamps was worse, I think. More scary. The wetness, the dark. This is covered. This is a light one, isn't it? Whatever. The last one was pretty good. For every good crypt, there's 3 bad crypts, I find. Those amber pearls in the flickering light. Money gets totally. I guess that's another one of the reasons they do Hilder's quest. Money is like totally worthless at this point in this game. Yeah, that's true. That's a big factor. Something I think about a lot is like how much in games, and particularly this game, I would get mad at things just because I didn't understand them, and then later they're manageable. You have to be careful when you complain, because it's not always them. It could be you, you know? I'm pretty guilty of that. Doing the wrong thing but complaining about the game design. Stupid. Childish. I think the wet debuff is the worst part. Also, like, leeches in the water is an underrated part of how hard it is. It sucks that Seekers are flying, but Reapers fly as well. They're delicate, but like they're dangerous. Leeches in the water, so even like your raft or boat is in danger if the winds are bad. Constantly wet. It's so dark. Horrible. Horrible. The Mistlands is like the things I mostly complained about in the Mistlands were like, even if you're like pretty good condition, suddenly it's like things will emerge from the clouds. The bad vision, and you're like, oh, I can't get out of here. I simply do not have like the numbers to be able to extricate myself from this fucking situation. That was really annoying. Everything around you is steep, and then suddenly like a gyal, a fucking tick. So annoying. Can't do anything about that. Yeah, it's like a retrospect thing, you know? Sometimes you're like, alright, I was being a baby before. But sometimes it's just frustrating. Or you want to say something, but you don't know what to say. And all that's in your mind is like annoyance. It's hard to internalize that sometimes. It's got to be some balance of laughing at misfortune and not being like a little baby. This is one of the rare times that going through one of these little underground passageways actually leads to something useful. Something I'm paying attention to is I notice that she sleeps better if I'm in the same room as her. It's pretty cute. It's like a very endearing quality. Like if she's sleeping on the couch looking out the window, like if she's sleeping on the top of the couch looking out the window in the living room, she's kind of like looks like I can't tell if she's sleeping or not. And you only like when she reacts do I tell that she's sleeping. Or when she's here, like sometimes last night before going to bed, etc. Like I won't even like pick her up to like take her on to put her on the bed before I fall asleep because she's like just so conked out that it's like, oh, I can't move her. That's like adorable, like face shoved into the thing. I think it makes sense. Cats, I said this before, but like cats, generally speaking, are nervous, and she's nervous for a cat. So I think she like can relax a little bit better if like there's a presence around. Oh my god, the flying wraith. The first time I saw a flying wraith, I was in a raft, going from here to here, and there's a wraith here. I was going from here to here. The first time I found a swamp, and in here there was a wraith that killed me on a raft. It was the worst experience ever. Oh. What do you feel stupid? A little low in stamina. That wraith, man. But they're actually very squishy. Nice swing. I like how I can draw. There are some advantages in this game. A lot of times it's unfair. Like, it feels like they don't have stamina. It feels like they don't get slowed in water the same way you do. But that's one advantage. Is a circumstance like this, I can drop off the platform and they can't. These guys are really scary. They're so fast. I think it's they save an arm. Dong! You hear that? Hear me? This is a fucking grind. See, this is like really scary. How quickly they come out. They ring around the rosy of the scrap pile here for a second. Get some stamina back. I probably shouldn't be jumping. See, that would have been really scary if their damage was like even remotely relevant. Yeah, the wraiths are fucking crazy, man. Nice. Okay, now time to slink back to that previous chest. Where was that? Put it in here, right? Yeah, nice. Okay. I feel like I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. In every biome, there's like a heavy armor set, and then there's like a light armor set with like a special buff. What do you think the best of like the light armor sets are? Troll leather, root, and Fenris, and the wizard set. Because those are all the fun ones. Like the heavy armor is always the heavy armor. It's the most effective. But there's always like a mobile special set. The root set I actually didn't get much of a chance to use. Because by the time I got it, I was like mostly done with the zone. Because it took me a long time to fight abominations. Obviously, we use a lot of bows and arrows. It's insane. They're both so good, I think. The Fenris set is like... The troll set you use for so much of the game. It's unreal. I think I'm done here. The Fenris set is, I think, the coolest. How much do I need here? Drop 2. Okay, can I drop 5 points of stuff here? Damn, that stuff sucks. Bait it again. Okay, so can I drop more things? 10 there, nice. Anything else here? This should be good enough. I'm lost. Is it this way? Yeah. This set is amazing. It just looks so cool. The glowing eyes, the melee bonus. It's really interesting. One of the reasons the abominations are hard. Well, I don't know. You can block. They have one attack that's very heavy. They've one attack that's very heavy. I think just when they drop their bum on you. But they're not easy to kite if you're using fire arrows or something, because obviously there's no harder place to kite than the swamp. Wait, why do my helmet on? Oh, that counts as a helmet, right? It's been a long time since I used it. I think I was calling the wolf armor the Fenris set, but there is a wolf. You're right. There is a wolf armor set. I think that one looks the best. I think that's one of the other reasons I think the plains as a zone is so underwhelming. Is 1, there's so little to do. There's no instance. 3, the armor set sucks. Linen and what is it? Linen and iron. It looks the same as like the iron scale set. But the wolf set from the mountains looks the best by far. It's amazing. That's a weird thing. The plains is really weird. It's so unfinished. The zone, like, where you find the Vegvasir, like the marker of where the boss is like a total crapshoot. It was on like a Stonehenge arch on like a thin strip of plains with nothing else there. The villages have nothing except linen, except flax and barley, I guess, and some coins, and then the totems. The zone is like really annoying. Deathsquitos, everything. It's the worst zone by far. And the other thing that I keep talking about, or the other thing that's find interesting, is how once you get to later parts of the game, the like new raids that open up once you get to late game. I haven't had like a, I shouldn't say this, I'm jinxing myself so horribly. I haven't had like a Mistlands raid yet. But okay, time to get some armor points. This is a party. Okay, my food is actually... Alright, boys. You want some of this? Big kick. Alright, you get my food and they'll run away. There you go. That kick is so satisfying. What was I talking about? Yeah, the early raids are the scariest. The troll raid is the most dangerous to your base by far of anything. Other things can threaten your pets, but like all I get now is what, skeleton surprise? So soft. Or all those surtlings, the sulfur smell. They do nothing. They run around the woods, shooting fireballs at deer. It's so weird, man. I'm really happy about it. 2 trolls even now will take out some of my fucking tower walls. Okay, which of these things can I throw away? This can go. Sick of needles, sick of that. Okay, do I go home to replenish? Not really right now. Okay, so Eikthyr back. There's a raid for each of the 3 mini bosses. The wolf hunts happen in the plains a lot. The wolf hunts happened in the mountain when you're in the mountains, but then I found once I finished the mountains, the wolf hunts happened in the plains most of the time. I think the most difficult thing I did, I think honestly, there's other times that I was more upset or more angry. Oh, I have armor. Triple kick? Little double dragon? I think the most stressful thing I did, honestly, was take those 2 locks on the ship. I think that was honestly the most stressed I was the whole game. I've been more mad. There's times like, I'm sure the Mistlands, the swamps, or like death streaks or something where I was more mad at the game. But the 2 locks on the boat was the hardest thing I've ever done. That was so stressful. But they made it. They're just like indefinitely floating in the water, killing serpents. That was like the most fun / hardest thing of the entire run. That was good times. It was like my heart rate was like 85. That was so fun, man. Adding black marble to the castle is going to be interesting. Trying to find where to like intersperse the black marble with columns, etc. to make it look good without completely replacing it. Maybe I'll make the castle out of black marble. Replace it block by block. And then keep the outer walls as stone. Or make everything black. It's much more durable, right? Oh, I forgot to Ether. I've not been maximizing that properly. I also remember in the swamps a lot of times I would be trying to avoid these things out of force of habit because I didn't want to get wet when you're just wet the entire time. Okay, that was a little bit of a waste of Ether, but whatever. There's more coming. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that's going to be some horrifying event that happens. So take this ancient bark. Why not? Yeah, that's scary. Seeker soldiers. Seeker soldiers and Gyal frighten me a lot. Those things are... Seeker soldiers are very tanky. Great. I think one of the reasons that... I mean, I wonder whether... I don't know. The raids on the base were never that. Maybe because I spent so much less time at the base because I was out in the various mistlands so often. I think it's just luck. The way the luck works in this game is really weird. There's periods during the mountains and plains where I was getting invaded. Like, I think Zemi was here for some of that. There's times during the mountains and plains where I was getting I felt like I was getting invaded like 3 times per day. It's horrible. But the raids were very light during the Mistlands time. I wonder whether it's a specific tuning thing. Like the game's already so hard that like you need a respite. Hey fellas, how you doing? I'm sorry, do you want some of this? What did you say to me? What did you say to me, you little punk? I'll let you know I'm a Green Beret. Alright. This is what the Seekers do when they're flying too. They just lollygag around. Big kick. Boom. That's a sick... that you can do a Sunlock combo. If you block them, and then kick them, and then hit them again, they get stunned twice. Since I never made the ballistas, because I didn't know that I needed to make the mechanical spring, I feel very lucky to have never had to deal with that. The other thing about going to the mage set is you don't have to keep spending infinite feathers on arrows. Do you think the like fully upgraded like heavy armor sets of like from the Black Forge or the wizard set is like stronger combat wise? Like is it kind of like Elden Ring where like the mage sets like are kind of like an easy mode? I would say even like the argument that separating ether from stamina as like your attack thing is like enough to make it easy mode. But you're so squishy. And the damage is not that crazy. Like I would say for sure like spamming your stamina with like the weapons. I don't know. I'm not sure about the skills because my skills are pretty low. I've never gotten anything like above, like consistently above the 30s. So my elemental magic was like in the early 20s when I fought that boss, which is honestly where my clubs and swords were too. I feel like hitting them with a weapon they're weak to probably would do more damage than the staves did. I don't know though. This raft has been here for like 400 days. Also, I noticed that the sound effect that you hear when it's lightning out in the Mistlands is the same sound effect that the Queen made when she got hit sometimes, I think. Big if true. Ooh. Fully upgraded black metal gear beats 1-star carapace armor, but 2-star carapace beats fully upgraded black metal. Do you think 2-star carapace is like, I don't know. I guess it's just the obvious answer is just like playstyle. That's normally how it went. You have to like at least you have to upgrade the next biome set at least once or twice to have it like surpass the previous set fully upgraded. It's really legit. It's interesting how they keep iron as like essentially the core metal that you continue to need throughout the entire game when you get it in the third biome. And the stuff like the black metal, silver, it's like window dressing. I still think it's interesting. But they do give you means of getting metal later. I really like that about the game. Balancing it so the late game stuff gives you the early game stuff, so you don't have to go like do a copper deposit in the Black Forest like 500 days in. It's the lightest heavy armor. Do you mean like in terms of how much it slows you? Zemi, I have to go through all this stuff again and find colors, new colors that are neon and show up in the dark. It's not consistent that which of them does that. I don't know when I picked up those arrows. All right, let's check it out. I think they're all -5 movement speed, right? Oh, the helmet doesn't. That might be a difference. Did you guys use shields or bucklers? Or tower shields? Alright, enjoy the burgers, pal. I hope they hit real good. Oh, the weight, right. Do all the helmets not slow? I'd have to take one of these off. I'm too lazy to do it. Okay, repair. Coal is 25 in one stack. You don't see that too often. Interesting. I'm all out of iron here. Could be worse. I think I need about... I think I need 4 or 5 stacks of iron to be able to make all of the gear. The Demolisher is like 30 itself. I think bucklers are more fun. The tower shield of like just the straight blocking, that to me strikes me as something that's better if you're playing in a group. So you kind of have like a designated tank. Oh shit, what the fuck? Damn. I told you I was gonna jinx it. Fucking Seeker? I told you I was gonna jinx it, man. Watch all my animals be dead. What the fuck? Why don't these two talk anymore? It's so weird. They had a breakup. There's like a fucking Seeker flying around my bedroom? What the fuck was that? That was chilling. What is happening? It's like the walls between dimensional probabilities are eroding. The dark one stirs. Anybody here ever read the Robert Jordan books, the Wheel of Time series? Anyone? Any Dragon Reborns in the chat? Any Aes Sedai in the chat? No? Am I good here? Yes. Amazon made like a, what I interpret as a trash-ass TV adaptation of it recently. But it's like the original one, I think. Like what? I read them when I was like a kid. And then when the Game of Thrones books came out, the very first book is literally called Game of Thrones. And it had a jacket quote from Robert Jordan on it, complimenting it. And that was the reason I bought it. The way it goes. The Wheel of Time books are like really, really, I don't think they're like possible to make into a show. Because they're so much less steeped in reality than Game of Thrones is. Game of Thrones is like, outside of like some kinds of like strange magic and like dragons, etc., is like pretty, I don't know, I hesitate to say based on reality, but pretty close to reality. Whereas Wheel of Time is like very, very, very in-depth magic system that he like writes about. Like there's like 5 elements, kind of like your air, water, fire, earth, that like you weave together into patterns to create spells. And it goes well on a book page, and it's very fun to read about. He went to West Point. He was like I don't know, he'd been to Vietnam or something like that. And I think that kind of like a reason why every one of these books is like 800 pages. And the climactic battle scene at the end of each one reads so well. He was so talented at action scenes. So talented. They're so fun to read. Alright. But I don't think it's possible to be faithful to it and make a good series, a TV series out of it. It's really high fantasy, yeah. Like totally omniscient narrative, and like a lot of like lore creatures, and mostly it's the magic system. Like magic is key to the world. Basically the premise of the story is that males and females, a very small percentage of the population, are born with the ability to like channel the one power, and the one power, men and female have different strengths in it, and like you have to be kind of guided in how to use it so you don't burn yourself out and kill yourself. But there's like this climactic battle between good and evil 2,000 years earlier, and when like a group of men, when the group of like the male channelers sealed away like the prime evil, his like counter strike as he was sealed away tainted the male half of the source, so that all males will eventually go crazy from the taint if they use it. So like male channelers are like vilified like witches, and the females who can wield the source basically rule the world. And the main character of the story, oh fuck you, and the main character of the story becomes a male who can wield the source. So he's like vilified and has to figure out a way to find mentors, because he's like the messianic prophesied figure. So that's the basic premise of the story. No, I haven't heard of First Law. What's it like? I'm always looking for new fantasy. I really am. This guy's the gatekeeper. I've read a lot of classics. I've taken a lot of English courses. I haven't read the Russians, but I read a lot of classic literature. I have to say, for my money, I mostly prefer to read fantasy. It's like a classic. It is long though. It is like it was originally going to be about 12 books, but the author, about 15 years ago, got this like 1 in like 10 million horrible blood disease, and he died. And he did his best in the last couple of years where he was like in the Mayo Clinic being treated. His wife was his editor. He did as best as he could to get as much of the story down as possible. And then they hired Brandon Sanderson, who's like a pretty well-known fantasy writer with like broad popular acclaim, to write the final book. But the final book became 3 books. So it's about 14, I think. But the last 3 were co-written by someone else because Robert Jordan died of this blood disease. It's like multiple myeloma or something, I think is the right one. But it's very good. It's basically like the books start in like the 6 main characters, 3 boys and 3 girls, are from a very small village, and just that's kind of like the source of shit going wild. And it's one of those things where like you always want the 6 of them to be together, but like circumstances always make it so they never are. So they rarely get to like unite. Generally speaking, does like pretty good job of having like a lot of like good females in it. The 3 mains are still like the males more than the 3 females are, but by the end of like the books, I'd say the girls are like arguably just as, if not more, impactful. Look at this. There you go. It's the Wheel of Time, yeah. I had a lot of friends of mine. I had 3 friends of mine read it when they had like little kids, like babies. It's because they need something to do when like you're kind of you need something to read to like relax when you're like just always kind of like dealing with the kid and have like little breaks of like 45 minutes or an hour. It's really like a relaxing, non-hard book to read. Game of Thrones is better literature and more like complex. Wheel of Time books are really fun to read, though. It's just a shame that he died before he finished them. Obviously. Joe Abercrombie, I've heard of that guy. That sounds cool. I'm going to look for that. I think I mostly read to relax. I don't think I read to like be shown the world or to like ponder and pause and close the book and think about things and like philosophize. I think I mostly read. I like speed read as much stuff as possible for story and like entertainment to some degree. The Expanse, that sci-fi series, is another one that was like extremely readable and very, very entertaining. Kind of like pop sci-fi. They made an Amazon show with it. I personally had trouble watching it because you have a certain idea in your head of what characters look like or what the world looks like. And sometimes a show with a slightly limited budget can harm that, and that can be difficult. But The Expanse is very readable. And like fucking flies by. And really, really cool shit happens in that book. The whole like the plot really opens up around book 3, I think is 8, and it's amazing what things happen. I kind of try to do one serious book, one. I try to do one serious book, one fun book, and alternate. I don't want to like just read comic books and sci-fi my whole life. Like I want to be able to read the classics, but like if you read multiple classics, then you're like just marking checks off a box. You're not really necessarily enjoying yourself. Another kind of vaguely fantasy-like series that I remember reading like a while ago that I always thought was fun to read was the Brent Weeks books. You were kind of like, it was kind of like assassin-y, ninja-y shit. What happened here? Yeah, it was kind of like assassin-y, ninja-y shit. Oh, that's interesting. Those guys were providing light. But I remember it being quite fun to read. The books I'm reading right now is a 2-volume omnibus of the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. I read the first one 2 summers ago. And then I'm reading the second one now. The second one is better. Lovecraft was famous for like the Cthulhu mythos. And like basically making like a world of like cosmic gods and old gods who used to live on Earth or who like whose minions travel to Earth. And he's very, very influential on a lot of like modern like game design and like science fiction imagery and shit. Tentacles and like psychic horror and like things being beyond human comprehension, so people go mad when they see them. So the first volume is mostly one-off spooky stories of like people with like mental derangement who are like imagining things and who are like rejected by society, which I think ultimately kind of like vibes with what he was like and what things he was dealing with. The second one is when it starts to be like, okay, I have a universe I'm making, and my universe is like set in New England, based around parts of Massachusetts like Arkham and Miskatonic and all these places. And now it's getting more into like these old gods and the things that he refers to. Like a lot more characters are making recurrences book to book. It's great. The best known ones I think are The Call of Cthulhu, which I have still not read. I'm about halfway through the book. And At the Mountains of Madness, which I just did finish reading, which was fantastic. Probably like an 80-page mini novel. And At the Mountains of Madness was apparently a book that for like years and decades, Guillermo del Toro tried to make as a movie. Guillermo del Toro is like a legend, honestly. Like legit a living legend. And he could never get the money to make it. At the Mountains of Madness is basically the story of like, it's set in the 1930s, I think, generally, which is around when he was writing. And it's basically like an expedition of like scientists and engineers take a mission to Antarctica. And they discover that there are like ancient societies from millions of years ago in Antarctica, beyond the mountains. And two of the guys go exploring through this like ancient society, and all the stuff they see basically drives one of them mad, and the other one tells a story. It's so detailed. It's a little bit like archaeological to be like necessarily thrilling, but it is really absorbing and like really detailed. And no one writes like him. I think more like my dad told me about H.P. Lovecraft, though he denies it now. He doesn't remember that, but he did. But one of like the first, I think the Darkest Dungeon games, especially the first one, like really pick up those like H.P. Lovecraft vibes, and like the writing and like the syntax he uses. They do a really good job of like getting the feel for like how he writes. Words like sibilant succulence, slime-ridden, blights and infestation. As well as the classic line, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood. That's a good one. This is another one of the good crypts. Look how good this one is. It's even a Vegvasir. You guys want some of this? Oh. The food's gonna run out. I might die. Careful. That could have been a thing where I was suddenly down to 25 health without noticing it. Oh shit. Okay, first things first, as always, kill the thing. Oh shit. Fuck, I didn't give myself time for the food to rejuvenate my health. Just running around like I was immune. Shit, that's annoying. I should drink some water. Okay, right back. Oh. Now that I adjusted the camera, she's a little bit less in focus, but at least my camera doesn't look like it's 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. at all times. I think it's apparently a really great audiobook, or a great book to do on audiobook. I had a friend of mine who works like an engineering job where he just works on CNC machines all the time, and he's listened to like 4 of them over the course of like a year and a half. Is that for Audible? Or Amazon? Actually, Amazon owns Audible, doesn't it? I was thinking about it the other day. Like, everyone has like a name for their cat or their pet. But really, at some level, if you have a pet, the name they think is their name is really like the noise you make that the animal responds to. And by that logic, her name is, hey. That's essentially what she thinks her name is. Because like if you have dogs, you have to be like, Bowser, no. So the browser knows that you're talking to him by introducing it to you. So if you have like a distinctive noise, that's what the cat really thinks the name is. That's what the no that like the hey, see? that's that's what she knows. That's when she knows to pay attention for a second. Sorry to abuse it. I shouldn't take her name in vain. But that's how you that's ultimately what the cat probably thinks its name is. It's so funny. That worked really well. That's a great example. Yeah. A lot of people say like the pss pss is something that's really effective for their animals. Okay, do I get another armor set to get over there? Phew, that's so far. Maybe I'll take this like old iron scale set. Just for a little chunkiness, and then I'll use Zeke there. You use the Audible ones? Nice. I think also if you do 1 month of Audible, a subscription, you get a number of free credits as well, even if you don't necessarily keep doing it. It's something like that. Because I remember I got like 4 or 5 books, and I didn't pay for them. Actually, no, my girlfriend paid for Audible for a few months. But I think you get a couple more free books if you subscribe for a month or do like a trial or something. I know I got Killers of the Flower Moon and all of the Game of Thrones books on Audible. And it's not really fair for me to say I got it for free because I just didn't pay for it. Oh, apparently the trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon came out today, or came out yesterday. I want to watch that. That's gonna be a good movie. That was a great book. David Grann is like one of the best nonfiction authors, or one of my favorite nonfiction authors in the world. That guy is an absolute beast. Across the Nightingale Floor. Funny you say that, my friend. The fuck was that? Alright, we're gonna be jerks about it. Funny you say that, my friend, because today is the day that I learned what a Nightingale Floor is. Which is a kind of wood paneling that was typically done in, I think, Japanese castles, where the floor makes like a audible, speaking of audible, huh? Makes an audible chirping, squeaking sound when you walk across it, which is actually quite musical, but ultimately serves defensively to ward off intruders because you can't sneak around. I just learned that today. It was one of those things where I was scrolling through Twitter and it's like, this is what a Nightingale Floor is, blah, blah, blah. And there's a little video with it, but the video is muted because you're just scrolling. And it's one of those things where like, well, I could pass this by and just keep going on my life, but I do want to know what this is so I can remember this later. So I purposely clicked on it so that it unmuted the video. And here I am 2 hours later, already enriched with that knowledge. Isn't life beautiful sometimes? Isn't synchronicity beautiful? Look at this. Look at this running. The tiniest fucking stamina drain. I'm living the dream. Can't see shit. Tales of the Otori. Alright, duly noted. And are you saying that you generally prefer to read nonfiction to fiction, or do you mean like reading like kind of stuff for school is easier than reading fiction? A lot of people prefer nonfiction to fiction because they feel like they're learning something, and like that's like a helpful motivation. Not me. I think that story in fiction is more kind of indicative of the human spirit and psychology and like the shape of your life and the aesthetic of like what struggle is like than, I don't know, reading self-help books or biographies or something. Reading inspiring biographies of someone, that's so boring. They're so like masturbatory. Here's when I knew that I'm being very cynical and like generalizing here, I recognize that, but it's like, here's when I knew that I was doing something special, or that my mom gave me something, or there's just something inside me that never wants to give up. I'm so intellectually curious. The least interesting thing in the world, I think. Reading anything that is not a textbook is hard. Yeah, that's crazy. That's like... So it's a very like... What's the word for that? It's like very... It's like a very right brain... It's like a very right brain approach. Like facts and information to retain. I found it very hard to read textbooks in school. I can hear that big chunky boy. There he is. Emerging from the earth once again. Okay. Okay, where's my corpse? This way? Okay, this is a little sketchy, actually. This is actually really sketchy. What the fuck's my body? Not it either. Oh shit. Oh shit. This is bad. Yeah. Fuck. I don't know where my corpse is. Okay, let's at least by the door. Okay, I'll sleep till morning. So where are they going? I don't remember where my corpse is there. What is it, like energy drinks? Is it like a pre-workout or what is it? Titty milk? There's a guy whose YouTube channel I watch a lot because I like watching League of Legends interviews and podcasts named Thorin. Yeah, and Thorin has a sponsorship with Gamer Sups. And Gamer Sups, however good it is, like apparently like a good jitter-free energy high, has like the most cringe flavor names ever. One of them is like guacamole gamer farts or something. Like what kind of adult would sell their product as that? Like what self-respecting person would like get that through a fucking conference meeting? So ridiculous. It's embarrassing. This is calculated to be the thing that it gets the most eyes. I don't know about that. If I could plug something, this Strong Coffee Co. This is the chocolate flavor, but there's also a vanilla one, which is a red package. 15 grams collagen protein, 5 G's coconut oil, L-theanine, neurofactor, and coffee berry extract. I put a half of one of these or a half scoop of the big bag into my workout mix in the morning, and it's like my energy before the gym and my smoothie. or you can just have it as a coffee. I was having 2 of those a day when I was like first moving here, and was just like basically just like bored playing video games because I hadn't had my computer in a long time, and I was like vibing out really hard. It's like basically having 2 of those a day is like being on fucking being on like Ritalin. It's so strong. We got it from your mom. Insulting you and getting your money at the same time. Okay, the annoying part about this is having to get across that little strip of plains. What does titty milk taste like? This brand is called Strong Coffee Company. It's in Texas. I spent like $180 to justify, so I got 2 packets of the vanilla and 2 packets of the chocolate. So it's like 3 to 4 months of 1 scoop a day, if not a little bit more. To justify the shipping, I got that much. And something with the shipping was weird, where it like got to Chicago and then got sent back, and they sent it again. 1-star leech, I'm naked. Gotta be a little careful here. There's a Desquito there too? You gotta take the raft? Alright, YOLO. Time to get on a death streak. Oh, this is bad actually. What do I do here? I think I go around them. What does titty milk taste like? They're good. It's like I don't know. It's like an energy drink kind of coffee style. It's frightening. How many Desquitos am I currently dealing with here? Looks like just 1. Oh, look at this. I haven't seen one of those before. I haven't seen very many of those. Those are the things I was really excited about when I first saw them. Okay, I'm probably fucked here. Oh god. This is so annoying. 3 deaths in a row now. I gotta do the full set. Titty milk. I learned today that whales nurse their babies by just firing their milk into the ocean. And the milk is so sticky that it just stays together in like a clump. And the whales just come up and suck it up out of the ocean. What do you think about that? Alright. I gotta go fucking full nerd mode. And actually recoup all my stuff with my mage set. This is embarrassing. Disgusting. But I've been lowered to this level. You guys don't want to try raw whale milk? I think about raw milk a lot. Apparently it's so much more nutritious. The proteins aren't denatured. A lot of the probiotics and enzymes are still in it. But it's like, what percentage of the times that you drink raw milk will it hurt you? It's probably close to never. But the risk is too much for most people. But you would be immeasurably healthier. If you drank raw milk indefinitely, you would probably never have an ill effect. And you'd get so much more, it's such a more nutrient dense meal. But better safe than sorry is like most people's approach. It's also in Canada, like almost impossible to get. You guys are American. You could probably get raw milk quite easily. There's like websites you can go to that show you like a list of places that offer it. And you guys would be fucking laughing. Swimming in it. Lucky Yankees. With your freedom. Did I hit 2 of them? Okay, goal is avoid. Okay, I'm gonna snipe some guys from the distance. Yeah. No one is more vitality than Sweet Robin Aaron. What a snipe. Oh, did you see that? He ran right into it. That was satisfying. The rare long-range snipe. Alright, fuck you. God, these things can just fucking go to hell. Okay, which of these bodies have stuff in it? I think this one has nothing. I feel like part of Lysa Tully, it's like pretty strongly implied that there's some sort of like birthing trauma, pregnancy, miscarriage type thing, which really has been part of what like psychologically warped her so much. And I think they imply that it was Littlefinger's baby, right? And like her mom or her father like prevented her from having it. That's kind of like the sense I got last time I read Game of Thrones. I use my big boy food. Can't waste any more time. Uh-oh. Scared to click that one. It's the end of my political career. Shit. Caught in the act. You baited me into this. You brought up the titty milk. Now you're going to send that to the newspapers and ruin my career. I see what's going on here. That's where you've been these past few weeks. Plotting. Scheming. Oh, I never thought of that. Sweet Robin Aaron. Is his name John Aaron or Robert Aaron? Little boy's name is Robert, right? So the implication he might be Littlefinger's? Interesting. When I drove to and from the West Coast, so like, what is that, 10 days of driving or something like that, I listened to a book and a half of Game of Thrones. And then finished the actual books for the rest of it. It's very good. The guy who does it is Roy Dotrice, who's like a, I don't know, Shakespearean English actor of some sort or another. It does drive me crazy. He has a lot of different voices that he uses, but it's not an unlimited amount of voices. So sometimes, like, especially later on into the series, the voices he would choose for some people would really bug me. Namely his Brienne of Tarth. For one, I do not think that it's Brienne. I very much think it's Brienne with two N's. But the voice he uses for her I dislike quite a bit. The Littlefinger one's not bad. His Varys is very good. Very, very good. Okay, time to clear out the riffraff. You sure his name's Robin? He's not just called Sweet Robin by his doting mother? Oh, it's here, right? It's swimming in fucking 2 1-star dudes. They do not want me to succeed. Okay, so put that on. Take that away, take that away, put that in there. Circling trophies apparently look quite cool, so I'll take that. Put away the bones. Take the claws. And I need to take this instead of, say, this. It's everything valuable, right? Okay. Okay. Do I think he'll finish the series? Do you mean like all cause mortality? Or just run out of patience, or what? Or just generally speaking, do I think he'll finish the series? I do think so, yes. But just because of an overall optimism is why I think so. Honestly. Big fat guys die all the time, you know? Men and their cardiac problems, etc. It is known. It is known, Khaleesi. It is known, Missandei agreed. It is known, Jikwi agreed. I'm fucking lost. Okay, this is all clear, right? Okay, good. The big thing people talk about is how something that he often cites as the Miranese knot, in that a big problem, some people think that he's like really rewritten a lot of major segments and has like completely scrapped near completed copies of the book. And the reasons are that he has got himself into a pickle where he can't get everything to work. Can't get the timing all right for everybody to be in the right place at the right time, apparently. But also, I don't know, the way my friend frames it, which is pretty forgiving, is like he's just been writing the same book series for 30 years and he's just like running out of gas. I think that's true to some degree. I think that like there's a sliding scale in life naturally between energy and self-mastery, where the older you get, the better you know yourself, but the less that you have that like hustle and like passion. I think that is the case for most people. So he might be suffering from that to some degree. Yeah, I think it's that. I think that he needs to get like Tyrion. I don't know. I'm not sure of the details, but like he needs to get Tyrion and everybody else, including Daenerys, to Meereen all at the same time. I think that's it. To, I guess, enable them to then return to Westeros or something. One thing I'm curious about from the books is a lot of people seem to think, I haven't watched the show past the 5th season, and I never will because I don't like it, and I didn't want to have things that haven't happened yet in the books spoiled to me by a show. So I stopped. By about the 5th season, I stopped watching it. It was pissing me off too much. I'm often confused why people think that Jon and Tyrion would be the natural people to helm the other 2 dragons if all 3 dragons survive. And it kind of feels like young Rhaegar would be a good setup for that. I kind of think that young Rhaegar would be one of them. Young Aegon, sorry. Rhaegar's son. That seems likely, right? Maybe he dies. Inventory's gonna be bloated here. Yeah, I think that they had to rely on George R. R. Martin to tell them. I think they had to rely on George R. R. Martin to tell them how things were going to end, or how things were like slated to end, so they could do things that they were going to. Like, there's like I don't know. There's a lot of things that aren't even revealed yet in the book, which they talk about in the show, like Jon Snow's origins, etc. And then maybe that's part of the problem with why he has to take so long to finish the books, is he has to make things so that he's not just rehashing what the show did already. One, because that would feel bad, and two, because of the general reception to it. Oh, fuck. This guy's a tough cookie. That was close. What did he hit? Okay, is the breeding pile finished? I don't think so. Is any of this iron? I'm full up, right? Okay, I gotta return this. Okay. God, this is a big ass dungeon. What games are you playing recently? Have you started and stopped multiple games since last time I saw you? Okay, where the fuck am I? Where? This place is chock full. My inventory is lessened. Mars First Logistics, I heard of that game. The description of it was very cool, honestly. Sounds really cool, actually. Yeah, it's kind of like a Mobius comic. Nailed it. All right, so wolf jerky. Oh, we're rich. So, I'm wondering after this whether this will be. I either fill up the ship with iron, or I choose this to be enough. This should be at least. This should be at least 120. So I want to do this today, and I want to get the black marble going on. Am I finished? No, it's one more. Even here alone, this should be 90. So considering that I don't know, yeah, I should have probably enough. I haven't heard of the other two games. Okay. I'm getting epilepsy if I keep looking at this. I'm gonna get epilepsy. What do you think about Day of the Diver? Are you tempted? I was also thinking, I think I sent you a text about this. I was also thinking that from what I read, the Baldur's Gate 3 content, there's a lot of difference between what you experience on like a good versus evil playthrough. You ready to clear my head and think of the design and even very certain tasks again. Do you have a notepad? Are you working on some graph paper? So the content you get in Baldur's Gate 3 apparently is remarkably different depending on a good or evil playthrough. So I think if there is some co-op going on, probably would be fun to do maybe the evil one. That seems more like chaotic, right? Because it is hard in a game that takes over 100 hours to play to coordinate people playing together enough for a full playthrough. But some chaotic evil shenanigans, that is doable. That we could get a whole squad in. Okay, I think I'm done here. Okay, so the problem is here I can't bring a whole lot of this stuff back because I've got my whole environment here. I can take a couple more. That should be fun. So I need to get rid of 7? No, 14. And 2 pounds of coal. How much coal? 1 coal. We're good to go. Now I can Ether home. Get my other stuff. Get my stuff in here. I feel cold. Where's my cloak? Okay, run home. So I think this should be enough crypt gear for now. I at least have a bunch more marked if I ever so need. I have my speedy boy set. I gotta run back a couple of times here. I gotta run back, drop off the iron, replace the rest of my gear, and then run back 2 more times for the rest of this fucking iron. I don't know. I'm gonna go in blind. And just the same way it was with DOS 2, the first playthrough is going to be that's the kind of game where maybe not consecutively, but over the course of a while, for sure play twice, because it's the kind of game where you're like, I'm going to know so little of like the intricacies and engines the first time through that you then like play a second time with things more like satisfactorily figure out. That's for sure the way the games like that go. I'm like in love with the way my party worked the second time I played that game. Even though I felt, as I said before, that like I didn't take advantage of like the source point spells enough. It was too overwhelming. I basically stuck to kind of like missionary, you know? Just the old in and out. Nothing special. No legs in the air. No hair pulls, no biting. Not saying anything strange. I was just using normal magic. There's like druids and necromancers. There's subclasses for every one. I can't see shit. I hope you guys like it. I hope you're in the mood for a movie like that. It's like you don't ever want to hype stuff up. You don't want to like, you know, you don't want to like stare at someone's face every time there's like a joke on screen hoping they laugh. And you don't want to be like, "Hey, this is the best thing ever," and like be let down if they don't think the same. But I thought that movie's great. Legit all-time classic. Okay, let's have the Locks fight those Grey Dwarfs. The hardest laugh I ever had in my entire life. I'm not sure what set me off to such a degree, but the hardest laugh I ever had in my entire life was the introduction and reaction to an extremely pale character in a restaurant in that movie. Like something broke inside of me. Oh my god. Wow, they're so resistant to that. You know, like when you laugh so hard at something that like the person you're with is like thinks it's really really funny, that how hard you're laughing, but then you just keep going and you can't control yourself, and something's broken inside you for so long that they start to get kind of like impatient. But they're okay, all right, that's enough. It was one of those moments. I was on the floor. Broke me. Okay. By the end of today, I should have enough stuff to be able to actually get into the groove tomorrow. Reinforced chest. So, mage gear, staves, backup armor, which has generally been pretty useless, honestly. All right. So it's morning. We need to get some rest. We won't be able to get that sweet run. There's a boar in my base. It's very upsetting. Where'd he go? Hey, get back here. What am I doing? Okay, I gotta put away a couple things. One resin, the eternal fucking struggle. I'm not gonna do any more crypts, so I can put the swamp key back. Sertling core trophies. Charcoal. Good amount of that. I hate how much your inventory gets messed up when you have to buy stuff again. Okay, let's get a rest buff and go on our merry way. The Liar Liar court scene is really good. But Me, Myself, and Irene is my favorite of his movies. It really does it for me. The foul-mouthed children. All right. Also, speaking of titty milk, classic scene. One of the craziest things I've ever seen in a movie. That's like within the realm of like still all right. Oh my god. I've thought of that one in a while. I should get a bow for this, honestly. Otherwise, the little bit of planes you run through is like just a little bit of a pain in the prostate. I don't remember the elevator scene. I don't remember Liar Liar that clearly. Look at this. The intra biome, Black Forest here, plains here, swamp here. We've got a real war zone going on here. I love it. Okay, we're cool with blood bags. Yeah. Did you know that movie is directed by Ben Stiller? I think didn't he also direct Tropic Thunder? Those are like two quite good funny movies that are like weird and like stand the test of time for sure. I watched Cable Guy a few years ago. Like the lisp, the kind of sad loneliness, it's pretty good. Oh yeah, and Zoolander too. He directed that? Interesting. Here, big boy. Don't I? Zoolander's probably the one that like stands the test of time the best. I know people who are like mid-20s I don't remember when Zoolander came out, but like they were like legit children when the movie came out. Ow. Who do like what is this, a play school for ants, or like what is this, like a juice box for ants? Who do that line? That movie was like 2003 or something, 2001. Yeah, people who were like barely born when the movie came out will use like lines from that movie. It also has great GIF potential. Okay, round two. One of my favorite scenes in that movie is like the male models at the very beginning. They're so fucking stupid, and they have like the gasoline fight in the gas station, and then all just die. It's so funny. It's like a perfect like summer movie hose fight scene, except they're idiots and it's gasoline. It's really good. This is such a classic. That was a funny phase, like the around 2000s phase when like Starbucks started to blow up and like expand nationwide, and everyone's like, frappa, cappuccino, whipped cream, blah blah blah. And I feel like it's like infected America in a way it hasn't infected other people. And I think it's mostly because of Starbucks. Like people getting like 650 calorie, like sweet sugar calorie bombs as like their order at a coffee shop. But like if you go to if you have like good coffee shops in your area, which I think is becoming more and more common, and like not get something with whipped cream and chocolate sprinkles in a fucking plastic cup, a plastic lined paper cup. Like, this shit's good, man. America, I really noticed even when I was driving through. What the fuck was that? I noticed in America driving through that there's much more of like a culture of like disposable coffee. Like people in coffee shops or coffee shops that don't offer a for here mug, or people staying in and still drinking in a to go cup. That's so weird. I have a good friend who loves his like TV and movie quotes. And every single time I or someone in a call mentions a cappuccino, which I mention a lot because it's that and a flat white are my drinks of choice, he has some line that's from like The Simpsons or something where he's like, it's called a cappuccino and you won't believe what it costs. And I just have to, like, I just know it's coming every single time I mention it. Every time, like clockwork. I'm just like, okay, yeah, here we go. Here it comes. Once again. It's like from like a news segment on The Simpsons or something. Every time. Every time. We used to live together, and if we're both in the same room, like both on the computers or something. Oh, shit. Jesus Christ. If we both be in the same room with like on our computers, we used to play WoW a lot back then. We like could not have like 3 minutes of silence without him being kind of weirded out by it and like busting out like a TV or movie quote out of nowhere with no context. So your Anarino is seeing the first time that his mind breaks right now. There's bread baking in the oven and it looks like it's sourdough. The movie's just starting right now. With a full-on fallopian fungus. You have titty milk in your future. Oh, this movie's so good. Vagiclean. Aisle 5 for price check on Vagiclean. There's bread baking in the oven and it looks like it's sourdough. Yeah, there's a lot of synchronicity here. The nightingale floors, the titty milk. There's a lot of things going on here that I think we're all destined to be here in this moment. Price check on VeggieClean. We have a shopper here with a full-on fallopian fungus. Yeah. Oh shit. This fucking guy. You see me? Please get away from me. So have you figured out your modular design yet? Nerd? Did you ever play Polybridge? Okay, I should be able to use Ekther for this final run back. And this is not really related, but did you ever play Into the Breach? There was a period in 2018 where all I had for a computer was like a work laptop or a laptop I bought for work. Like one I spent less than $1,000 on because I wanted it to be like quite small and thin. It's like when I first started working on my Steam account, basically. Did you ever play Into the Breach? I still follow Justin Maw on Twitter, although his Twitter is him just like retweeting other game devs, etc. I'm waiting for like a sequel to that. I wonder what those guys are doing. Into the Breach was incredible. It was so good. I played that a lot. Kind of like Vampires, I don't know. I was going to say it's kind of like Vampire Survivors, is that when you're into it, you're so into it. And then at a certain point, you're like, all right, it's enough. It's so good. It's really, really, really fun. It's really clean. I really liked it in every single way. My only complaint was, this is a very minor quibble. My only complaint is the achievement system is... Like, I was, like, going through the game and, like, trying to get all the achievements. Yeah, same devs. It's two guys. There's, like, an art guy and a game design guy. It's kind of the same way that they did Darkest Dungeon 2, although Darkest Dungeon... So it's the same way they did Darkest Dungeon, except Darkest Dungeon was a larger team. But the two founders were, like, a systems guy and an art guy. And the same thing with Into the Breach and FTL. My only complaint about Into the Breach was if you're, like, trying to get all the achievements done and just, like, find ways of doing it, they don't have the achievements be complete the game with every squad. It's more like dorky little novelty shit, like knock a person into this to do damage to a structure, or like the things where it encourages you to play creatively or think outside the box, which sounds good. But I think generally a game doesn't matter. It's a one-player strategy game, but I was just expecting the achievements to be like, I want to get acknowledgement for beating the game with every single squad or every single like mixture of squads. I don't like it when a game is like encouraging non-optimal gameplay. through objective things. Ow. He shot me in the liver. It's a great like puzzle game. It's a fun game to play with a friend, oddly enough, even though it's like a turn-based kind of chess-like game. I would just connect the HDMI cable to the TV and put into the breach on the TV. And then me and my friend would argue about what move to do, because it's the kind of game where you like plan out every move and think moves ahead in order to win. It's basically like robots versus kaiju with like a procedural generation kind of sense of randomness. Great puzzle game. It's like a perfect tight little game. It's like Front Mission meets Pacific Rim meets chess. It's a lazy metaphor, but I like it. Okay, so now I take a relatively short boat ride back. I'm gonna pick up some extra tin. Look at that, 2 strikes. Feels good, man. Is that tin too? Is that tin, but it's just not showing up because it's underwater? No, it's stone. Never mind. I know there's a couple more around here. Can you get into the water, please? The rock's just shiny? Is that the problem here? I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. What's the problem here? Did I not get that other tin? There he is. He's burgered up. What'd you put on him? Let's hear about the burgers. Was there cheese inside the hamburger? Question the first. Wow, this shit's heavy. Damn. Is that a marijuana strain? Look at this. You don't see that every day. Yeah, it sounds like a weed strain. I got some juicy Lucy and some Black Apache helicopter. $20 a gram. I'll go get that tin. And then I'm coming back for those fucking boars. I'm gonna lead them into that house and trap them in there. Onions and fried onions, béarnaise, some salad, and a dressing. Look at this fucking European putting béarnaise on a burger. I love it. Delicious. The first time my friend made a béarnaise for me, we're having like a guy's weekend, like cigars and like expensive liquor, and he wanted to make kind of like guys style steak and potatoes, you know? And so he made steak and he cooked it. He cut it into cubes, like inch by inch and a half cubes, basically, and then made a béarnaise sauce where you sweat the tarragon and white vinegar and the egg yolks and everything else, salt and pepper, I forget what else, and then made a huge potato pancake in the oven, like one huge potato pancake that he cut into thirds. So we had steak cubes where he'd like really baste it, like you really like put the spoon in and put the butter over the steak so they cook on all sides, and then so it was steak cubes. He worked on like a Michelin starred restaurant in France. He worked for Guy Savoy. Guy Savoy is like a French legend, and so he did like steak and potatoes basically. Fucking good. I'll never forget that meal. Sounds like your burger was very good. I'm very happy for you. Yeah, he was one of those guys. Just everything he made, he like had it figured out. He'd be like really into like steak tartare. Just make it like perfectly with like capers and salt and just a few other ingredients. Everything he did was like nailed. He's so talented. He was a very interesting guy, very smart. He had like a blue collar father and then a Swiss French nanny as a mother. And he's from like the suburbs. So he had like two parts in him. Like he had this like side where he wanted to set himself apart and like be in touch with his like kind of like European refined roots. And then his dad was like a way different kind of guy. So like when he'd be into things, he's like, "Hey Dad, I made you some sushi. I know you don't like sushi, but I made one that's kind of like this. Like it's kind of like a burger." And he just tried to make things that to like show up to like kind of like include his dad in the things that he liked, because he always was more into like the fancier things in life, classical music and opera and like champagne and all these things. But it's not like what his background was. People found him kind of difficult. I got along with him really well though. And so he made one time he made sushi. He was like, "Hey Dad, it's kind of like, here's some stuff that you might like." He's made it more like accessible. And his dad's like, "You think I like this F word stuff? Like, what do you think I am? Like, what are you an F word?" Really harsh, like really ridiculous. And that was like, okay, got it, Dad. No further F word. It was ridiculous. But I haven't heard from him in a long time. He was with someone who was like much older than him, who was like a rich lawyer. And they were kind of like attached to the hip to some degree. And then I knew him through one of my best friends, like one of my oldest best friends. And this guy has a wife who is like upwardly mobile and like a beast and like super industrious and like succeeds work-wise in everything she did. And he convinced her to give our mutual friend a job, and it went really badly. And it was like really bad. Like he got fired and they thought he was like under suspicion of like heavy drug use and like just really kind of like erratic behavior. And then he was sending them some messages where like it became difficult for me. I don't want to choose sides, and maybe to some degree I made a mistake by being like, "Hey man, like I really think you should apologize to our mutual friend after what happened." And he just like basically, he'll still answer messages if I find him like on Facebook or something, but like he's just kind of out of the picture. And so like their friendship like flamed out hugely. And my friend is like, to this day, still chews on it. Like we'll watch something or read something. He's like, "I can just tell this is the kind of thing that like Michael would hate." I was like, "You haven't talked to this guy in like 11 years. You're kind of fixated on this." I don't know. It was really bad. I miss him though. He would like, we'd go to like a rooftop patio, like nice place in like Yorkville in Toronto, and we'd share a bottle of champagne with like 4 people. And the last glass of champagne, the waiter put on top of the checkbook. It was a checkbook that's kind of curved, like a leather one, folded checkbook. And the waiter put the last flute of champagne on top of the checkbook so that when he moved it or something happened, the champagne spilled. My friend was really mad about it. He had a couple of drinks, and he was that kind of guy where he then like spiked the flute glass on the ground and had to be escorted out. And everyone's like, "Ooh, this is awkward." He just wasn't having it. He wasn't a fan of what happened, but he is in that circumstance ends up being the one who looks bad, understandably, because he spiked a champagne flute on the ground. But I understand why he was angry. He was just like smarter and more interesting than the average person, but difficult. I miss him. He's like in California somewhere. We had similar esoteric interests. We got along well from the beginning. I made a mistake being like, hey, I'd love to talk to you, because he sent a message a few months after like the big blow up my friend. I was like, hey, I'd love to talk to you or like catch up with something like that, but I would like you to apologize to our mutual friend. And he's just like, okay, well, he didn't say anything back ever. Generally speaking, you don't pick sides or do things like that in a friendship. You just try to be like the equitable, open, accessible person in all circumstances. Another one of my oldest friends has like a thing right now where he's not talking to his aunt. His aunt is his mom's sister and a replacement mom after his mom passed away. I've mentioned this before. And he had an issue with her son, his first cousin. And he, to some degree, wanted her to choose sides against her own son in a conflict. And he may have been justified, but you can't do it. You can't do it. This game's very beautiful. I got a hole full of iron, and my eyes on the horizon. I think I need to eat something. I'm hungry. What am I gonna have? I'm trying to eat less. Have a smoothie before bed, or like a frozen yogurt before bed with 2 scoops of protein in it, and try to eat a lot of food to keep growing. But I am getting a little chubby, or I've stayed a little chubby. The ring around the torso is like pushing me up into the upper teens of body fat, and I think about it a lot. But I'm just not willing to sacrifice my nutrient surplus that I'm currently cultivating. Having been like in the 150s like my whole adult life, I like started getting up to like a proper medium size and feeling stronger and being like really consistent at the gym for like a year and a half. And so if you go to the gym a lot and you're like the kind of guy who wants to be growing, you want to be eating enough. But maybe my calorie, especially since I don't do cardio, really the solution is to keep eating the same way I do, but to start doing some sort of cardio like biking. But I don't know. I don't want to fast. Sucks. I don't want to weigh my food. I don't want to fast. People say if you use like a carb or a calorie counter app with like I think Carbon is one of them, things where like you get like your full breakdown of the nutrition you eat in a week or per meal, etc. Weigh everything. They say after a few months you get a sense of everything. You don't have to slavishly use it forever, but it's like an important thing to like kind of get you a sense of like, okay, how many grams of like carbohydrates, fat, and protein am I actually eating? How many calories am I getting? Like how many should I be getting, etc. I just can't bother doing it. buy a scale, make a meal, and be like, okay, so how much arboreal rice do I have in here? How many shrimps am I having? It would be good. Because, like, you want to have, like, if you're a dude who's, like, active, you want to be having at least 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body fat. Isn't that what it is? I forget how it works. 1.5 grams per kilogram? 2 grams per kilogram? Whatever it is. Like, at least 180 plus grams of protein a day. But do you know what that is? Do I know how many grams of carbohydrates I'm having by having a bagel and some crackers and then rice and potatoes at dinner? You really just see how it's going. Are you burning fat? No, not really. Are you growing? Yes. So I'm clearly on a caloric surplus with enough stuff, but it might just be too much of one. You want to go like 300 up, 300 to 500 up, or like a couple of hundred down, depending on whether you want to gain or lose mass, I think. Something like that. Looks like I'm trailing something. Am I leaking petrol? I like the word petrol. I'm not English, but I like to use petrol more than gasoline. Or fuel, or whatever people use. Petrol is like the fun one. Lift instead of elevator, flat instead of apartment. A little more fun. You get to have, like, you get to confuse people for a second when they hear it. Is pop American, soda is English? Isn't soda like kind of universal? Pop kind of feels like more of like a small town thing. Or certain areas, maybe, I don't know. I heard pop as a kid. There's a town in... You're right, yeah. There's a town in southern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, very near Michigan. That's like one of the warmest parts of Canada. So it's a very, very popular place for greenhouse farming. You drive through there or near there. It's called Leamington. Leamington. And it's chock full of like these enormous football field sized greenhouses. They call all soda Coke. That's funny. This is related to that. So the thing with Leamington is because it's essentially seasonal work and agricultural. Even though it's Canada, it's chock full of Mexicans. And so this has been the case for so long that if you go through the town, it's like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10,000 people, 15. Like, if you go through the main strip of the town, it's Mexican restaurant and remittance stores. The whole thing. Like, you feel like you're in, like, I don't know. You feel like you're in Mexico when you see the overall demographics and the stores when you go through the town. Which means that you're driving through a place in, like, southern Canada where you can get, like, bomb-ass birria and really, really good, like, enchiladas and everything with, like, a proper Mexican Coke. Which you can also, related to this, spill birria consomme on your favorite white t-shirt and be devastated for hours afterwards. It's just very, very funny to see, like, the remittance shops, the remittance stores, and the Mexican food, and essentially 80% Mexicans chilling on the street in a part where there's not many of those. Anyway, the Mexican Coke is what I was getting. That got me on the trail of the Mexican Coke. God, that shit's good. Glass bottle Coke has always been superior. Anyone who doesn't realize that, they're missing out on something in life. No one is just given, it's not their fault. No one has just exposed them to the reality. Can is fine, plastic bottle is trash. Glass bottle, unbelievable. Just a little guy. If you don't like drinking, you can always get that at a restaurant. Okay, I'm gonna get harassed by that serpent. I'm going right for his typical haunting grounds, which is around here. It would be so fun in this game if I could make a... If one of the things you could do was a there be dragons. Or here be danger, there be krakens type mark on the water, like those like 1700s maps. That'd be so cool. Yeah, that's so good. It's just like crisper. It's more refreshing. It tastes crisper. Look at this fucker. Can you just leave me alone? Stealth mode. Hi. Definitely. And like, to some degree also, it feels like the glass bottle like oxidizes or reacts with the carbonated product less. Like, the metal or the plastic does have a taste to it, but it's a more unadulterated flavor in the glass bottle. What are we doing here? Do I have to give up and turn around and race away from this guy? This is like the slowest possible way I could be going because the waves are exacerbating it. I think I swing... Is he leaving? No, he's come back. I think I swing left soon. Okay, stop. That is also a fair factor. Okay, let's change this wind around, shall we? Okay, wind's turning. Come on, keep going. I think that might be it. It just tastes better. Definitely more refreshing. I've been getting all into like the weird esoteric shit the last year or two. Like my morning glass of water, I pour the night before, and I put like a very, very strong pinch of magnesium chloride into it, and a little bit of salt to offset the bitterness of the magnesium. And then I have a 400 milligram scoop of magnesium glycinate before bed. Hearing all that stuff about how criminally deficient we are on one of our most essential minerals due to modern farming practices. For mitochondrial strength, overall energy, depth of sleep, relaxation, improved digestion, all those things. There's a brand called Element, LMNT, which do kind of like Gatorade-like powders, sodium, potassium, magnesium, etc. for like refreshment after a day of a lot of sweating. I'm a huge fan. Okay, I didn't really get a chance to check out how much of everything I got. Seems to be a pretty healthy dosage here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I got way more than I thought. Nice. That's a crazy. For 3 crypts? Ooh, relax. For 3 crypts, that's a lot of iron. Crazy, this is like the 3rd time going through the game where I've had to like do like a crypt deep dive. Fax Condi? What is that? I've never heard of it. Okay, this one's pretty full. Okay, we are stocked up. I feel great about it. Okay, now I'm going to take a lunch break, and then I'm going to... do a deep dive on black marble. What happened here? And then I should be stocked up to start my creative building tomorrow. Danish Mountain Dew? Fascinating. Okay, the swamp key can go away. I read recently in like a thread from a dentist that chewing xylitol gum is actually like a net benefit for like keeping your teeth clean and like lowering like plaque accumulation. Okay. Another thing of wood into the breach. Sounds good. I'm glad you like it. Maybe I'll pick one up one day. Assassinated by my own machinations. Okay, so this is where you choose to take a break. There's no better ending than getting killed by my own eater. So there we go. Time to eat myself a small lunch and come back for Black Marble-a-thon 2023. And there it is. There it is. There it is. We'll be back. Hope everyone's doing great. Enjoy your afternoon. Won't be gone long.